my goal is to figure out from you, one, you already know that white and black, when people come with the heart of first self-love and then with the willingness to love other people, we can work together. There's been lots of examples of that. But it still seems like, even in Evanston right now, when you have, say, the dais where the aldermen speak, the council is very mixed right now. But there still seems to be a grasp on the resources that's not filtering directly, basically, to the Fifth Ward or to, you know, where Black people stay. But the thing that I love about Evanston is that at least you can see the resources, and some of them are filtered into the Black community. What do you think Evanston needs to do to level out the playing field? That would be my question to you, Bennett.
Well, one word you used wrong was level. We have to get more because we got less for so many years. And it's a simple matter, and it's going to change. The number of people who are going to be gone from the city council is going to have a whole new attitude toward municipal government. Meaning, Ann Rainey's going to be gone, Don Wilson's going to be gone, of course, Robin's going to be gone as well, and it's potential that one or two other aldermen were going to be gone.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Whoever comes in.
Let me. I'm sorry. You froze up after Don Wilson. Ann Rainey, Don Wilson. Who else did you say?
Well, probably in the first ward. Probably, Robin Simmons is going to be gone. And probably, in other words, enough new people on the council are going to change the whole attitude toward government and how the resources should be.
Okay. Did you think that I would argue that Robin wasn't against Black people and the
No. I didn't mean that.
Oh.
I'm just saying she's going to be one of the people who's going to be gone.
Okay.
That's all.
All right.
Like Haggerty is not that bad, but he's going to be gone too.
Okay, so the the mayor is going to be a different person.
Yeah, Dan Bliss, who wants to be progressive, whether he is or not, he's certainly moving in that direction.
Okay, well, cool. Let's investigate that. You just threw that out there. Do you think that he does have a past that does not seem to be progressive? From looking at some of the ways that I've seen the newspaper report him having voted, some of the resources that he's in theory turned his back on that could be filtering towards Black people, and I don't have the stats in front of me to say which ones. But what do you think? Where would you categorize him in his past? Where would you categorize him going in the future? Specifically,
a very progressive mayor.
You think he's going to be a very progressive mayor? That's awesome. What do you think would be his strongest or his most important focus?
And on the other councilmen who are going to push him to make sure he's progressive. The new council is going to be much more progressive.
Okay.
And outspoken.
All right. So what do you think? Which ward do you think is the most important ward right now? And which candidate do you think winning that ward and coming out of that ward would make the biggest impact when it comes to leveling off what it used to be versus this new, more progressive group?
Well, Devon Reed probably is the most important.
Nah, that's too easy now. Come on.
No.
Come on, Bennett.
He's going to lead. He's going to be the leader on the council.
I understand that, but we know unless there is no God, Devon is going to win that one. We're talking about the other ones. We're talking about one that nobody but yourself with your wisdom might see and say, hey, the person in there last year, if she loses to this person running against her, then it would make a real change. Go.
remember, we got 9 people.
Yeah.
So it's not only one person. It's Devon in the 9th,
Yeah.
in the 8th, I'm sorry. Cecily in the 9th.
Nobody should ever challenge. Well, Cicely should win for at least 3
No,
more.
I'm answering your question.
Yeah, yes,
The
sir.
thing that's going to change is Cecily in the 9th, Devon in the 8th, possibly Suffering in the 7th.
Yeah.
In the 6th ward, can't remember who's running against. I don't have my list in front of me. In the 5th ward, you can't lose. Either one of them are going to be a positive change.
Yeah.
In the 4th ward, you got Diane Goldring, who's going to, either one again would be a positive change. In the 3rd ward is, I don't know, I can't remember these things. There's a toss up in the 6th ward between Braithwaite and Cannon.
Okay.
And Braithwaite, if he wins, will be intimidated by the progressive folk, and he'll roll with them. 1st ward, Claire Kelly is going to beat Fisk, and she's very progressive. 3rd ward is Melissa Wynn and a guy named Nick, and either one of them again would not be a problem.
Okay, that's awesome. You said that Fisk is very progressive, Judy Fisk.
No. Claire Kelly is going to beat Fisk in the 1st ward.
Okay, I was wondering. I was going to say, how did you feel about Claire Kelly? I think that Evanston Magazine and myself, we would get behind Claire Kelly before we get behind Judy Fisk, but that's not an official, not an official endorsement. So let's see. Let me think. You said in the 4th ward you didn't. Don Wilson is out. We know that, but the other is there. Who's the two that passed on?
Diane Goldring and Nick Konotsky. I can't pronounce his name.
And you were
either
saying,
one would be okay.
Okay, and then the 3rd ward, who did you?
Melissa Wynn and I can't think of the other person. But either one again would be okay. Wynn is probably a little weaker, but I think she would be positive. She would end up being a positive for it.
Okay. Now, what about her past? Do you think that she was a person who was a little bit less to follow the regime? Did she stand out to you, or do you think she'd just be adequate in her win?
Well, see, the thing is, the term collegiality applies to governing body. I've been working with general assemblies and all of them in a long, long time.
Okay.
And if the one reason Anne Rainey was so powerful is because collegiality. She was able to talk to her friends and colleagues, and they would not push back hard enough against it.
Okay.
And so the same thing is going to be true this time, that when the majority of the people are progressive, nobody's going to strike that. It's very unlikely that anybody's going to stand up. Of the 2 people we talked about, Melissa Wynn and Peter Braithwaite, are going to stand up and say, no, they're not that type of person. They're not strong.
Wow. I was going to come back to that, but I guess so you feel that Peter Braithwaite is a malleable soul. He can be swayed any way the wind goes, or do you think that he finds a position and stands on it?
The only thing he stands on is his 2 feet. And sometimes
I love it, Bennett.
he has no strong ethical sense.
No backbone. Is that what it is? Can I get it?
No ethical sense is a better word.
Oh, okay. No ethical sense. Wow. You are not the first person. You're not the first person who said that to me about him. But I don't know. I mean, I'm still kind of, my personal view is that I would hope that his soul is that of a Black man who finally achieved a way to get power, and that almost like the spook who sat at the door syndrome would kick in. But I keep hearing from authority, the figures that I feel are authoritatively educated in the system, that this guy does not have that in him.
I agree. I think he, we're not enemies in that sense, physical enemies,
Yeah.
but he is not a person whom I would trust unless I was going to pay him. If you want to pay him, then I think he would be somebody. In fact, I think that's one reason why he is doing what he does, that somebody is helping financially get reelected and so forth.
Okay.
I have no confidence in it.
I understand that. That is a great way to state it. You have no confidence in him. Now, Darlene Cannon, what makes you feel like she would be a candidate that would be able to carry the water the way we would, as people who are progressive, would like it to be carried?
Well, just like anything else, if you're a new kid on the football team, if you want to do right, that's 80% of it. From then you have to be taught.
Okay.
So he wants to do right. So there are enough support in the community, and people in the community can help. My best story is that when we were working on the west side, we elected Biggs. I don't know why I can't think of his first name, but we elected him alderman of the 29th Ward. 29th Ward was a hoodlum ward, literally, gangster ward.
Okay.
And he was not a speaker. We would have a meeting that 2 or 3 guys would get up there and rev up the crowd, and then he'd get up and say hello or something like that. That's the end of it. But we knew that he had the what needed, including financial resources, to win.
Okay.
And that's how we finally got the breakthrough on the west side to all of this. So my point being is that if the person's attitude is right,
Yeah.
then you put with them the resources and the support they need in order to learn how to become an effective legislator.
Okay. That's
One of the reasons Harold was so good as a congressman, because he loved to read. He was a bibliophile. If you go to the apartment, he always had 2 or 3 books on the floor where he was open, where he was reading.
Yeah.
And so when he got to Congress, he was just like a rat in cotton, whatever you call it. He was really, that was his calling.
Right.
And he didn't want to be mayor. And it sort of got backed into it because nobody else could run. In fact, here's the story. I went by his office a few days before he was supposed to, the next week he was supposed to make the announcement that he was going to run. And I sat there a minute and I said, he was on the phone. I said, Harold, you don't really want to run for mayor. I said, you got somebody else? I said, yeah, I got Roland Burris. Roland, I think, would be a good candidate. So that Sunday, Harold and I went by Roland's house and we talked to Roland, and Roland was just ecstatic because he had become the highest vote getter on the Democratic primary ticket.
Okay.
And he was really just happy with what, and so when we left, we agreed that Roland wasn't going to run and that we had to go ahead and run. So that's when he decided to go ahead and do it.
Cool. That is a great story, and I love that. I love that male, that fraternal bond y'all got. This drinking buddy bond, where you like, man, y'all got somebody else to run this thing. No, now I gotta run it. Okay, I get it. That's awesome, man. I love it. Yeah. Let me ask you about the 7th Ward specifically. Okay. We have Miss Ravel. How do you feel about her winning, or Mary Rosinski, you believe, would be a better candidate? But what if Miss Ravel continues to hold her place?
Well, Mary Rosinsky and I are close friends, so obviously I favor her. But Eleanor Ravel and I worked together to start Public Service Challenge, I think it was, where we're trying to encourage people to run for office.
Yeah.
So I don't see her as basically a good person. She's not that strong, and so that's her shortcoming. But
Okay.
again, this reaches where even if Ravel won, she would move with the progressive and not be a point of resistance.
Okay.
But I
Yeah,
think resistance.
Yeah, I understand. I kind of like her from the times that I met her. I could see that what you're saying could be true, but wouldn't that be something that would work for us in Evanston as well as a lady like herself? You know, if it seems reasonable, she would go that direction? Or do you think that even if it's not reasonable, if a circumstance is not reasonable, but the other people voted yes, she would say, okay, I'll vote with y'all, yes? You think that's the case?
Well, it's not a matter of voting, it's a matter of agreeing on the issue.
Well,
I think she's not going to be negative on any of the progressive issues. We're
okay.
talking about Ravel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Now let's get to the big one since we're talking the clerk's office. That was a really interesting fight to me. I loved watching it from the day that Devon said he was not going to do it. Which if we could clone that dude and make him be the clerk and have his own ward, I would love that, but it's not possible. So we have to deal with who we got. Stephanie Mendoza was the only person on the ballot, so that kind of helped her walk into the office. I personally got the chance to observe Misty Wittenberg, and was hoping that she would be able to place. Out of the people that ran for the office, who would have been your choice if you had a magic wand and could have said, I want that person to be it? Would it have been Stephanie Mendoza?
Well, I think Mendoza probably is the best for a couple of reasons. One, she's Hispanic.
Yeah.
You need to get Hispanic in government. Two is
Okay.
that she is very confident, and
Okay.
I don't think she'll be a reactionary at all.
Okay.
So I feel very confident she not only will win, but she'll be someone that will make us all proud.
Okay, awesome. And I like hearing that. And that's good. That's a vote of confidence. I don't have anything personal against her. I think, there in my camp, there might be an issue there that, I would skip right over. I worry about the fact that the documentation and paperwork that needs to be paid attention to as a clerk is on a high grade level, and we would need a person with a high interest and a high skill set. So you feel that? I defer to your wisdom and say, man, I look forward to see her doing her thing. I personally saw Misty fighting for the people. So, and she was really competent when it came to dealing with the council, dealing with the paperwork, and knowing what was happening. So I was interested in her. I was like, I think she should be the winner. But I personally know that she, this is just my statement. I personally know that she did not do the work of a candidate to win. So the running an election is a tough thing. I like that Jackson dude, but I think, my personal view, I know this is about me asking you, but we're having a conversation. I like that Jackson dude, but I think that being a law student with a brand new law practice as he graduates would be a kind of a distraction for him to be the clerk. But, I guess the people have spoken. I'm interested to see if BB, because Stephanie Mendoza has to run against candidate BB, who is a federal, she's a Fed, like a police, you know what I mean? And at first when I was like, man, the police running for, clerk, and we've had all this like weird whispers of corruption and stuff like that. I'm wondering, I'm leery, you know what I mean? But then I went to her website and I started doing my research on her, and she has some really some really strong Evanstonian backing. And it's not about, to me, it doesn't look like white power structure backing. It looks like people who might fit that progressive Evanstonian vibe backing her. And I had a conversation with her, and she seemed to be solid, you know what I mean? So between her and Stephanie Mendoza, I think that this is going to be another very interesting runoff between those two candidates.
No, not really. Mendoza's going to win going away.
She's going to spank her.
Beebe is not bad, but Mendoza is much better. The other problem I have with Misty is that I agree Misty is right on all issues, but how in the hell can you run for city clerk and can't file for the right kind of petitions for the candidate? There's something missing there.
Yeah,
but Misty is a great soldier. And
she's a spark plug, boy. When I was like, who is this little tough ass little girl? When I first saw her, like, who is she? And then so I was the other thing. I was disappointed in the guy who was the candidate for clerk, who actually was doing the office after Devon kind of was pushed into a corner. His name was Eduardo. I'm like, dude, you are the clerk. You know what I mean? Why are you a write-in candidate? And him and Devon had this thing where he, I don't want to get into, because I don't know the details and I don't want them to be thinking I'm a bad guy, but somehow, he was involved with Devon's fight against the council, and he was the witness to something supposedly. But you're the acting clerk in most capacities now. You're the dude in the office. Why are you not on the ballot? And then it just didn't make sense to me. So I understand what you're saying with that. That is a sign of a level of competency that I think that we shouldn't have in the office. And unfortunately, Misty also reflected that. So I'd love to see her run a few years later when she gets all that together and figures it out. The dude Eduardo, I don't know what he's gonna do, if he's gonna stay in the secondary spot there or if he's gonna go find a new job. But if you're gonna run for something that's in your, I feel you on that. So that's Chicago. I mean, that's the Evanston politics in a nutshell, primarily, unless we missed something. The mayor's office. The mayor's office. I mean, that's a simple one. Daniel Biss won, but what's your unedited version of how you feel about the other mayoral candidates, like this Sebastian young fellow? How you feel about him?
Oh, I think like we said earlier, he's somebody who wants to do right, but ain't got all his things together.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that it's okay to be a novice or a new kid on the block, but you have to do more than just, you have to, if you're going to play in the big game, you have to be ready to play in the big game.
Yeah. I love that. I love the way you said that. The way I summarized it is I say, I really like this little young boy, you know what I mean? But if he was 14 instead of 13, he might get it. You know what I mean? I think he just needs a little bit more grooming from somewhere to win. Because realistically, if you think of it, vote for vote, if he was smart enough to go back to the people that graduated from school when he was a freshman up until that graduated when he was a senior, that are over 18 right now, he probably could have won, but he didn't have the knowledge to do that. You know what I mean? He
Yeah,
was
see, when I was at Roosevelt with Harold and Gus,
Mhm.
those are two geniuses, you have to understand. They were my closest friends there.
Yeah.
Beside a guy named Frank Underground. Anyway, the point is that